We will look at different ways to make a game plan for fights. So this one is between Iskander and Gianpolus. They fight this weekend at Roots. So you want to look for patterns. There's different types of patterns, definitely range, timing, defense, offense. Different people are looking at different things all the time. But you want to narrow it down to some sort of set categories. So for instance, for this one, we're going to look at a few patterns. So Gianpolus smashing his hands, his left hand, left kick, his rhythm stepping. We'll look at his step up knee as well. So let's get right into it. So the first thing he does is this fist clapping. This is something a lot of fighters do after engagement. It's a tick to reset the mind and engagement. So it creates an extra half beat in the engagement. This one is accompanied by a rhythm step, something popularized by Barry Robinson. So you see him just hitting his hands all the time. He's trying to psych himself up. Next thing he does is rhythm step. So he takes an extra step. It's breaking the base of his feet and adds an extra half beat into the engagement. So you see his opponent throws the jab and lands across the body because of that extra time. So the next thing he does is this thigh teep, which is very common for Southpaw fighters. It's a way to use timing defensively. Even when it doesn't land, it still resets the engagement. We'll see the Italian continuing to use this teep to the thigh defensively, primarily to set up other weapons as well, to give himself a little bit of breathing room to reset the engagement. The next thing he does is this left hand, left punch combo. So this one is sort of a very good offensive weapon for him. You see great balance with him. He switches to the leg kick at times, also heads to the head, and shows his balance with practice. So again, the left kick, left hand, very, very typical for Southpaw fighters to use this combination. And he's very accurate with it. The next weapon is the step-up knee, which is his strongest weapon. He's really good with it, and it's a lot of power. He has a nice arch to it, good balance. He's able to turn with the knee, so you see him angling there. He turns his upper body at times, too, to land the hands. So he has just a ton of power with this and follows up with other weapons as well. He drops his hands sometimes with the knees, but this is what knocks out his opponent. We will look at Iskander's strong weapons, his body kicks, and how he smashes his hands as well. So Iskander body kicks a lot in his fight, just over and over. He's very balanced with his shots all the time. He hits high on the guard usually, sometimes hitting into the body, but generally landing on the back. He misses sometimes with the lean back when someone's far away, which will be an issue. And he's always moving into this long guard situation. He moves into the long guard and gets off multiple kicks. Then again, going back to the same spot, he has very, very good determination with landing it. Again, there's a miss with the lean back, but then he starts making adjustments, which is a very, very good sign. He follows it up with combinations, and then again, just repeatedly doing the same thing over and over with a lot of success. He can change his weapons, punching into kicks, and he just doesn't stop. He targets the same spot all the time. You see right high on the forearms. This is what's going to beat up his opponent and start making the opponent drop his guard. Then again, just same spot over. He doesn't deviate from the game plan. This is very, very important because it does take time to rack up damage on people. So just more body kicks until the end. Iskander, like his opponent, also fist claps a lot, smashes his hands together, usually the left hand into the right. He does this as a reset to engagement. It's another tick. You see him here do it when he's showing strength after engagement and then psychs himself up. This is to reset the engagement psychologically. It's just an extra tick. and it adds a half beat again between exchanges, just a way to fire himself up. A lot of athletes do this, and I think it's a real waste of time for the athletes. So the next thing we do in our game plan is make a hypothesis. Guess what will happen. So I assume that Gianpolus will use his strongest weapon, these walk-in knees, and to try and damage Iskander. Meanwhile, I believe that Iskander will utilize that long guard and body kick to undo his opponent. Then we have to look at variables. There's punch defense and Southpaw versus Orthodox. So we see with some of the punch defense, especially with Gianpolus, he drops his hands a lot. He gets caught, not a lot in these highlights, but definitely a lot in the fight itself. And then with Iskander, he misses some of these body kicks, especially when there's lean backs, which a Southpaw fighter is going to be able to do very, very well. The last thing we do is we put the game plan into action. So for Gianpolus, we push him into these long step-in knees and potentially bring his hands up. For Iskander, we continue to use these body kicks, but have him step in more, have him understand his rhythm. Then we work on some of the corrections for both, and we see what actually happens in the fight. Then we have to bring it back to the drawing board and go again. This is what game planning looks like for Muay Thai.